Hello AWS reInvent participants. My name is Anirban Majumdar. I work at SAP where I head the platform adoption and advisory team. I'm here with my colleague Siva, who is leading our development unit in Palo Alto. Today Siva and I will talk about SAP Business Technology Platform and how it delivers business outcomes for joint SAP and AWS customers. We have a packed and interesting agenda for you. I'll start off with our partnership journey with AWS over the last 13 years and a summary of innovations we have delivered to our customers. Then I will double click on RISE, explain the steps of the journey and the role SAP Business Technology Platform or BTP plays in RISE. I will deep dive into SAP BTP, explain the main capabilities, show you a deployment architecture on AWS. Then I will pass it over to Siva and he will talk about an SAP customer running business technology platform on AWS. Siva will also explain the details of analytics and machine learning federation architectures with SAP Business Technology Platform and AWS services. Lastly, we will provide you with links to try out our architecture and invite you to reach out to us if you see any co-innovation opportunities. So let's get started. SAP and AWS have partnered over a decade to create joint innovations on behalf of customers. Our guiding star has been to bring flexibility and agility of AWS infrastructure to SAP workload. SAP has consistently leveraged AWS for their product and services, products such as SAP Concur, HANA Enterprise Cloud, SAP Business Technology Platform, including the recent innovations with SAP Analytics Cloud and SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, all run on AWS. SAP and AWS partnered together first to bring SAP HANA on public cloud over 5 years back. And we have our largest deployment of SAP Business Technology Platform running on AWS across 9 regions around the world. We have indeed come a long way in our partnership and the opportunities keep growing. A logical evolution of this long-standing partnership is to ensure joint success of our customers with RISE with SAP. RISE with SAP is our latest go-to-market initiative where we help our customers to move their workload on public cloud environment through guided transformation journeys. We know that every SAP customer is at a different point now and their unique path is different. Digitally grown startups, for example, and other innovators have already embraced standardized processes and cloud-native architectures, but need applications to scale and grow. But companies with a longer heritage and history are facing complex and often very highly customized on-prem system architecture. Systems that have been built over decades carry a high cost and are limiting their ability to adapt and innovate quickly. So there is no singular path forward, and that's where RISE comes in. Irrespective of where our customers are at, RISE guided journeys for business process redesign, migration tools, and services get them to public cloud infrastructure such as AWS. And once they have successfully moved their preferred workload of choice to public cloud infrastructure, they can apply the power of SAP Business Technology Platform to blend processes and data, not just SAP data, but also data residing on AWS jointly with AWS services and BTP services. And in all of this, SAP Business Technology Platform plays a pivotal role of being the platform of choice for our customers to build business applications, industry cloud applications, and integrations to third-party systems. Now, SAP BTP plays an important role in transforming business processes across all lines of businesses. It is indeed a catalyst for turning data into business value. BTP offers 3 unique capabilities in our portfolio. First, sense and respond. We do not create technology for the sake of it. Our goal is to empower customers with SAP's unique advantage, our industry and business process knowledge, which we incorporate into our products. Customers can plug in their technologies into business processes and we take care of the plumbing. Our goal is to offer customers reusable business services and pre-configured business content, services such as GDPR compliance or invoicing automation or regional tax integration flows. Secondly, agility and speed. Our goal is to help our customers build extensions in a repeatable manner. We integrate platform solutions by unifying data, processes, and experience while acknowledging that there is no one size that fits all, especially for development and deployment practices. This saves unnecessary data movement between different technology stacks and reduces your TCO. This means, for example, reducing the data replication efforts of master data with one master data objects and simplifying business process integration with SAP Integration Suite. Lastly, open architecture. We use open source tools and partner with hyperscalers. Through an open architecture, you can extend processes and data and use our ecosystem with ease compared to a platform that is locked into a fixed infrastructure provider. We are cloud first, but we also offer flexible deployment options from on-prem to public cloud so that you can migrate at your own speed. And we support this using open source technologies such as Kubernetes and simplifying deployment and application building with open source tools such as Cloud Foundry and cloud application programming models. SAP Business Technology Platform comprises capabilities to integrate, extend applications, and derive insights from data. And this is indeed the platform for the intelligent enterprise. With SAP BTP, companies can connect, manage, and analyze information across their businesses, integrate and extend the entire landscape, build new impactful applications. These technical capabilities indeed open the door for three kinds of business scenarios for our customers. First, integration. With SAP Integration Suite, customers can refine and enhance their business processes along the entire value chain by connecting processes, data, applications across SAP and third-party systems. Second, data to value. SAP BTP enables customers to perform all necessary steps to make sense of the data in the business context, combining SAP's data management platform, SAP HANA Cloud, SAP Analytics Cloud, SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. Lastly, extensibility. With SAP's Extensibility Suite, including business process management solutions, empower companies to build, extend, and enhance applications and processes according to their own needs. But before going into the customer example and architecture deep dive, it is important to understand how BTP runs on AWS. Well, all cloud providers offer three basic units of infrastructure abstraction: compute, storage, and network. And these are indeed the building blocks on which SAP workload run to. BTP first carves out a private network IP-CEDAR range from the network space of AWS. And within that VPC, our BTP operations team deploys a set of virtual machines. And these virtual machines are certified to run SAP workloads such as NetWeaver and SAP HANA. The first layer that goes in is called the platform core, which uses Gartner. Now, Gartner is our Kubernetes management tool and is indeed the underlay of Business Technology Platform. Gartner is also open source and supports cluster and machine controller APIs for public and private cloud. Then the different opinionated runtimes of the BTP are deployed as part of the platform core with Cloud Foundry, Kima, all running on Kubernetes. Just like the Linux kernel, services such as Identity Authentication Service, Audit Log Service ensure that SAP applications have the same suite qualities and non-functional requirements, which is why the kernel services that you see on this depiction play a very important role in intelligent enterprise. Now, once the platform core is up and running, then all our product teams come in and deploy the different products on top of the runtimes. They might be using Cloud Foundry or Kubernetes, but they all use kernel services for their identity authentication, audit logging needs, for example. You see the full portfolio of BTP here, starting from analytics and data management integration through to security. Now, it is important to note that if you run SAP S/4HANA on AWS, it will not run on the same VPC as the BTP itself. That's why you need to set up a reverse proxy connectivity through SAP Cloud Connector, which will run and open up your connection from BTP destination service into S/4HANA business processes. For SAP SaaS applications, though, it's a bit different. SAP SaaS applications can run or may not even run on the same cloud infrastructure environment, but it doesn't matter because for your extension and integration scenarios, all you need to know is the API endpoints. And as long as the SaaS applications of SAP are running in close proximity, you will be able to deploy applications to extend the APIs of those SaaS applications on SAP Business Technology Platform. Of course, the last bit is the integration with SAP with AWS services, ranging from storage services like Amazon S3, Athena, Amazon Redshift, to machine learning services such as AWS SageMaker. I will now hand it over to Siva, and he will first show an example of a customer, an SAP customer, running on SAP BTP, which is deployed on AWS. And then he will go on to talk about the specific architectures for data integration and federation patterns. Siva, over to you.
Now, I want to talk about a customer example of how this customer, Montes del Plata, was using BTP running on AWS to solve their business problem. Montes del Plata is in the business of making pulp from eucalyptus wood. They farm eucalyptus trees and they take it to their manufacturing unit and they manufacture pulp out of the wood. They don't have any visibility today into their incoming truck coming from their farms, and they don't have also good visibility into their inventory. If you leave the wood for a very long time in the inventory, the yield from the wood would go down. So they have to optimize the storage, the yield, and also the truck routing and the barge routing, which they use to take the wood from the inventory to their manufacturing unit. We worked with Montes del Plata to build a machine learning model that is deployed in BTP running on AWS to figure out what is the right time and which wood lot has to be moved to their manufacturing unit. So we utilized Kyma runtime and we utilized all the BTP components and services to solve this problem. The outcome was really fantastic. The wood wastage was drastically reduced and the accuracy on the optimization was close to 100%. The customers were very happy. Let me dig down a little bit into the technology and what was happening inside Business Technology Platform. The customer had their routing and the truck information in an external database. The external database was connected to SAP HANA Cloud, and the machine learning model that predicts what time which wood lot has to be moved and what wood lot coming in has to be saved into the inventory is predicted by the machine learning model deployed in the Kyma runtime. The model also has a scheduler that periodically predicts should there be any discrepancy. Then the data is pushed back into HANA Cloud, and it also has an application running in the Cloud Foundry runtime to visualize this for the people who do the route optimization. We also have SAP Analytics Cloud to do intelligent analytics. Not to forget, all of this runs on SAP, all of this business technology platform runs on AWS. Now let's hear directly from the customer through this testimonial video.
Montes del Plata is an industrial forestry company that produces eucalyptus cellulose pulp through sustainably managed forests. They make 1.4 million tons of pulp per year, accounting for 8% of Uruguay's export. The company had the challenge that a specific mix of different wood species and characteristics is required to produce the right quality pulp. The trees that meet pulp specifications are directly transported to the barge, but the ones that don't meet them are temporarily placed in the woodyard until they can be utilized, which decreases efficiency and leads to an increase of machinery use, fuel consumption, operation costs, and manpower. To address this problem, the project team developed a cutting-edge application with the SAP Business Technology Platform. The app shows ETA on all incoming trucks and utilizes intelligent routing optimization to efficiently route truck drivers to the barge or woodyard.
The challenge that we faced was to make the reception and loading logistics as efficient as possible, thus reducing the resources needed for that operation, doing it with less running hours and burning less fuel. And we think we obtained a good result with the SAP proof of concept.
El sistema nos dice y nos soluciona dónde mandar el camión, si a barcaza o a piso, con muy buena definición. Se prueba el sistema y se ve que con los datos reales dio muy buenos frutos.
This is a great starting point to propose new solution to our key business area, so they can support their decision with more confidence with this new technology such as machine learning.
The BTP platform enabled us to build a state-of-the-art, intelligent truck routing system. Through an innovative solution that utilizes Kima, HANA Cloud, and Fiori U5 web components, we developed a repeatable architecture to meet Montes de Plata's operational needs. Customers can now easily plug and deploy machine learning models to meet their predictive needs. Customers can containerize and schedule predictions and training with this flexible deployment option, enabling them to get the most value from their data.
Now you heard Montes del Plata talk about how we solve the problem using business technology platform. You need to also remember these applications generate a lot of data that need to be mined and insight has to be derived out of it. So analytics is the big stop right after you have built the application. We have worked with AWS to build a data federation architecture to help customers realize the analytics and insights from the data within SAP and the AWS data sources. So in this architecture, what you see is you have all the SAP applications onto the left side, and these applications generate a lot of data that needs to be analyzed. So SAP Data Warehouse Cloud helps you to build a semantic model for all of the SAP systems. The HANA Cloud underneath the SAP Data Warehouse Cloud helps you to build, model, and analyze the data faster. SAP Analytics Cloud can read the business semantic model and help you to build dashboards, stories, and planning. But what we have done is we extended this to your AWS data sources as well. So this could be Redshift, Athena, S3, and other data sources accessed via AWS Glue. So we have a federation model where the data still sits in Redshift, Athena, or S3, but can be brought in via a query on the fly and be visualized in SAP Analytics Cloud. This is really powerful because you don't have to move data from SAP to AWS or from AWS to SAP to do the analysis anymore. The data stays wherever it is. The queries are federated to their respective systems, and insights are just visualized in SAP Analytics Cloud. This is really powerful. Let me double click into the data federation architecture to tell you more about how this works. So here we have the Data Warehouse Cloud, and we have the SAP systems, and we also have the AWS sources. Now, if you carefully look, let's start from the Amazon Redshift. The Amazon Redshift data, so data tables or the databases can be accessed via the data provisioning agent running within AWS, and the data can be federated to Data Warehouse Cloud. So when a query from a dashboard comes into Data Warehouse Cloud for the data set that actually sits in Redshift, the query is federated back all the way to Redshift. Redshift does the computation, and the results are brought back on the fly back to Data Warehouse Cloud and to SAP Analytics Cloud. And all of this happens in just a few seconds, right? In some cases, this is way under a second too. So beyond Amazon Redshift, we can also visualize data that you have in your data lakes in S3 via Athena, and that can also be federated. Now, you would be able to also bring in data from our SAP systems and build a unified semantic layer that joins the data from AWS and SAP systems in the business layer of the Data Warehouse Cloud and be able to visualize it in SAP Analytics Cloud. This is really interesting because the data is not copied or replicated, but instantly available for you to do the analytics and derive insights. Let me give you a customer example of how we achieved this. So we have a customer whose business is logistics. So this is a customer in Europe. They have a lot of data coming in from their truck routing system, and this data sits in their S3. They have their master data and the geo data sitting in HANA Cloud accessed via Data Warehouse Cloud. So we brought in the data from S3 accessed via Athena through federation without replication, and we were able to successfully join all the data from SAP HANA as well as on Athena and visualize it in analytics. Without this data federation capability, this would have taken the customer months to do the replication job and then kind of visualize it. So this was really powerful and game-changing for the customer. They were able to retain all their existing systems assets and leverage the investments that they have already made on SAP as well as on the AWS to visualize the data. Now, we have a discovery mission in case you are interested in doing this for your enterprise. So you can visit the Discovery Center mission link given here in this deck, and you can go see how you can do this for your company. Let me give you a quick demo of how all of this is coming together. So in this demo, you would be able to see how the data from SAP systems and AWS systems are joined together and visualized in SAP Analytics Cloud. So you are looking at SAP Analytics Cloud dashboard. So this dashboard has data sets coming in from Amazon Redshift, S4HANA, Athena, S3, and other hyperscalers as well. So this dashboard, this SAP Analytics Cloud dashboard is connected to SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. The Data Warehouse Cloud manages the connection with all these different data sources, and none of the data set that you see here or any of the data that you see here is persisted or cached in Data Warehouse Cloud. So they are all connected via data federation architecture. So any query that we fire on this, any chart would go to its source system, would be computed in its source system and come back. So here we have data set, data visualization for S4 data and Redshift. And here we have a join between Redshift and the hyperscaler data set and S4 and Redshift. And of course, we have visualization for S3, Athena data source, and we have the other two major hyperscaler data source as well, apart from AWS. Let's have a quick look at a filtering and how the filter works for the Amazon Redshift data source. So here I'm just going to go ahead and then just fire a simple filter. Let's say this. So now this query is going back to the Redshift data source that sits in my AWS account and was computed by Redshift, and the data was fetched back. All of this was happening on the fly, and none of the data was actually cached. And same for the hyperscaler data sets as well. So when you have to join a data sitting in Redshift with a data set that's in a completely different cloud environment, you would be able to kind of just fire a query. So let's go ahead and then fire some query here. Maybe I'll go with the item category. So let's just say fire a query. Now this goes to both of these different hyperscaler data sources. The data set to the Redshift, and the hyperscalers to the hyperscaler, going to get computed on the fly, and the data comes back. So this is really, really powerful, and you could see the data is immediately visualized here. And the same holds good. So you could, imagine how this would work with S4 data sets. We have very tight integration for S4 data sets, so you'd be able to bring that in as well. And apart from the Redshift, you also have visualization for data in S3 and the same data set accessed via Athena. So with S3, this is visualized via data flow. So this is data replicated. This one chart alone is data replicated from S3 to Data Warehouse Cloud in case you ever want to do that. But Athena is directly going after the data set sitting in my AWS S3 bucket. No replication, only the computed results are fetched back from the source system. So let's go ahead and fire a query here. So let's go ahead and say select Bridgewater. Let's see what happens. So now this query goes back to S3, and then you could see the data for Bridgewater is also coming back and it's visualized. This is really, really interesting because now you don't have to build those expensive data jobs or data migration jobs or like data transformation jobs to move your data from one cloud provider to the other or from SAP to your cloud sources. You could keep all your data set wherever it is and still be able to compute it on the fly and be able to bring everything together to get richer insight. Once we have all the data accessible for analytics, the next logical step is to see how can we run machine learning models on these data sets. Our customers are invested heavily on SAP systems as well as AWS systems. We have some customers using SAP technologies like data intelligence for their machine learning models, and we have other customers using Amazon SageMaker for their machine learning. Now, we want to leverage this data federation architecture and make the data available for machine learning use cases running in SageMaker. We call this federated ML architecture. So the federated ML architecture has a very key component. We call it FedML library. The FedML library provides connectivity to Data Warehouse Cloud and acts as a bridge between SageMaker and all your data source. So in this case, we have SAP data sets already connected to Data Warehouse Cloud via federation architecture, and that data set can be made available in SageMaker without having to be replicated to S3. Similarly, you could directly access your Redshift data sources from SageMaker, or if you have other data sets, like in this case, like in Snowflake, that you want to access in SageMaker, you would be able to do that via FedML library without having to replicate the data into S3. This is really powerful because data scientists can immediately look at the data sets that is available within their enterprise without having to rely on the expensive data flow jobs or replication jobs. Now, the data scientists would be able to use this directly in their Jupyter notebook running within SageMaker and be able to deploy the model and train the model and deploy it as well. Now that you have seen how the architecture works, if you are interested in using this and leveraging this capability in your use cases, you can visit these links. The first link walks you through the Discovery Center mission on how you could connect AWS and SAP sources to Data Warehouse Cloud and visualize it in SAC. The second link is a blog that walks you through how data sets connected virtually to Data Warehouse Cloud can be used in SageMaker. So this also walks you through the data sets that might be locked up in other systems beyond SAP and AWS and how you could use that on the fly in your SageMaker notebook. If you have any questions or if you have any interest in trying this out, you can always reach out to us and we would be able to help you out. And we are also open for co-innovation ideas together with AWS. So please reach out to us if you need any help there. Thank you.